Okay, we're back, and it's good to be back because this time around we're looking at development in Ekiti State. The governor has mentioned a few things in terms of work that's being done and other things that is being given attention by the state government. But in the studio with us this morning, I will start with the lady. She is the Special Advisor, I think, is it Special Advisor or Assistant?
Special Advisor.
Special Advisor to the Governor on MDG, Millennium Development Goal and Multilateral Relations, Mrs. Bumi Dipo Salami. Good to have you here. Good morning. And then on the other side, we've got the gentleman, and I'll start with Mr. Jide Aruwo Shafe, the Commissioner for Agriculture and Natural Resources. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
And just beside him is Mr. Dapo Kolawole, who is the Commissioner for Finance, the man with the money. Let's start with the money then. If we start with the money, in terms of the finance of the state, you've been in government with this governor for how long now?
For 3 years.
For 3 years that he's been in government.
Yeah.
Now, in terms of the state of the finance of this state, how do you rate it? Would you say you've done well financially?
Well, personally, I would say Ekiti is not a rich state, but the potentials are there, and doing well financially, we have done excellently with the resources that we have at our disposal, with what we have achieved, compared with previous government in Ekiti State, and compared with governments in Nigeria. I'm talking of disposable income, and I'm talking in terms of proportional estimates.
How would you know about the governments before? Is it that they left a huge debt behind, or why do you make that kind of comment?
Well, first and foremost, I'm an Ekiti man, so Ekiti is of interest to me.
Yeah.
So I look at Ekiti.
You know what is happening.
I know what is happening.
Okay.
I look at what performance that has taken place here, and then of course, before the governor came into office, I was privileged to be one of his staff that work with him to do a lot of review. You know, the governor is a man that gives attention to details. Planning is one of his top priority. Understanding the system. Financially, he had a full grasp of what was in place, what is the available fund in Ekiti State. If you want to do what in Ekiti State, how much will you need to be able to do that? So he was well prepared for that.
Okay. So in terms of the fund that you've got available over the last 3 years, what have been the sources? You've had the federal allocation.
We have the federation account.
Federation
of course,
account.
from the federation account, we have about 3 sources coming from there. You have the FAC inflow, you have the VAT, value-added tax, and then you have what we call the SS crude, which is, of course, our own money from the federation account. Of course, when you have your FAC, a certain percentage of it, which is called SS crude, is stored up somewhere, which should have been distributed. But occasionally they distribute this to state.
Okay.
So, and then we have the IGR.
Okay, so your IGR is what?
Before the governor came into office, the IGR was 121 million naira.
Okay.
Now it oscillates between 450, 600, depending on
how much.
Yeah.
I think you should go and ask Governor Fashola how he's doing it in Lagos State.
No, it's not about asking Governor Fashola how he's doing it in Lagos State. I was in Lagos State myself. I was Special Assistant on Revenue in the Ministry of Finance in Lagos State. So I understand what took place. That was between 2003 and 2007.
So you know what to do?
Yeah, we know what to do.
Okay.
The baskets are not the same.
Okay.
The portfolio in Lagos is entirely different from
some has got apple, the other one's got orange, right? Okay, so now I was going to just finally ask you, in terms of, you've mentioned the 3 main sources from the Federation account, and you've mentioned your IGR, and the governor has mentioned going to the bond market. What other sources of income do you have? That's it. So you've only gone to the bond market once, and you've had 2 tranches of fund coming in.
Yeah.
So apart from that, that's all you've lived
That's all we've lived on.
So when some
the only other thing that you cannot take away from the governor is the level of prudence that has come into play in the management of the resources of Ekiti State. The level of attention to detail, the choice of contractors. You see, when you're talking about what governors are doing, or how are they doing it, or how are they achieving results. What you need to look at is the process leading to the achievement of that result. It's very, very critical for a state like Ekiti and for the country. Now, you get a state, this is a state where we met, virtually all the contracts on roads that we met were not performing. Okay. Quality of contractor was an issue. But on coming on board, what the governor has taken into consideration is, one, no road construction or no project will be abandoned. So that will affect who is going to be the contractor. And then, of course, is the cost of construction. How much are we doing a contract? I guess what others are doing for 100%, we are doing for 75%, we are doing for 50% in most cases. And then again is the level of monitoring of projects in Ekiti State. The level of follow-up. No contractor can get the money from our governor. You are mobilized to be on site. They told them Mr. Governor is there. The roads, the supervisors, the project monitors are there. The project consultants are there. And sometimes even ESCO committee and people from outside, NGOs, and quite a number of people go on field.
All right, I want to talk to the Commissioner for Agriculture, but before I do that, are you saying categorically when politicians say that the state is in debt to so many organizations, you're saying there's no money borrowed, no money taken from anywhere else apart from that bond that has been taken?
No, we need to look at what we met on ground. When we came on board, I met a bank debt of about 10 billion.
Okay.
And then, of course, contractors' obligation of about 33 billion. The first thing we came to do is was to reorganize the debt. As a financial consultant, as an accountant, we needed to reorganize the debt portfolio of Ekiti State. One, for convenience of payment. Then again, to be able to actualize the project, the vision of the governor, to put infrastructure in place quickly, such that we can quickly transform the economy of Ekiti State. The borrowing that we engaged in was through a transparent process. Going to the bond market, you have to get the approval of the DMO, Debt Management Office. You have to get the approval of the Federal Ministry of Finance. You have to get the approval of the Security and Exchange Commission. You have to get the approval of the Nigerian Stock Exchange. However, the governor could equally talk to any of the bank managing director and say, give us money. Compared with what was happening in the past, when we got to Ekiti State, the average borrowing rate, interest rate in Ekiti State was 22%. It was not sustainable. For every 1 naira, you are paying 22%. It was not sustainable. And then the first thing we did was to call all the banks and crash rate to 13%. And then, of course, what can you do at the moment? We needed to securitize the debt and create a situation that we can actually deliver on project. And the only way you can do that is to go for a medium-term loan that is cheap. There is no borrowing that we're doing today that is more than 14.5%, coming from 22.5%.
So you have
commercial bank rate.
So you have,
and then the repayment obligation of the state,
yes,
still remain far less than what it used to be, even before we got on board.
Okay. All right.
So that's the kind of efficiency that has brought
into
the process.
Okay, the agriculture and natural resources, in terms of what has been done in the state, the governor has made reference, and a number of people who are from this state, they've referred to the fact that this is a rural state where agroeconomy is supposed to be vibrant. What is the status of what you're doing regarding agriculture? Is Ekiti State turning into a food basket for Nigeria?
Yes, definitely. If you look at what had happened over the past 3 years of this current administration on board, coming on board, what we focused attention on was to modernize agriculture. If you look at the majority or major part of the population of the state is actually involved in agriculture. More than 75% of our people are involved in agriculture. We came on board and said, look, we need to transit people from doing agriculture the way it used to be to transit them to a modernized way of doing agriculture. Also, when we came on board, we had a situation at time then that we had an aging population of farmers. We had a situation where we have plantations that are no more effective in terms of yield. We came on board and had a situation where the aging population of farmers are no more effective on the field. Where they were no more effective on the field. So we took a strategy that, look, we need to pump in new blood into agriculture. We need to incentivize youths into agriculture. We need to, engage our existing farmers through various platforms that we've set up. We have the Fadama platform where we had the Youth in Commercial Agri-Development Program that have gained ground now in Ekiti State.
I beg your pardon. How did you convince youth to become farmers?
Yeah, you see, it's all about strategic thinking, strategic planning, and that you give for this particular administration. What we do basically is to create that enabling environment for youths to see agriculture as something they can do as an economic activity, not just a leisure.
And what was the response?
It was excellent. In short, when we came on board and we did the design, people thought it will not happen. But I can tell you today, the youths cultivate 10-50 hectares of plantation, of cassava plantation in Ekiti State. We have, if we try to aggregate under the Youth in Commercial Agri-Development Program, if we try to aggregate what they do in cassava alone, they have more than 2,000 hectares of cassava. Today we're trucking cassava to Anambra State. We're trucking cassava to Lagos State, to Ogun State. We're trucking cassava to Matna in Ondo State. And it's being cultivated by youths.
So if you want to talk about statistics then, what percentage increase would you say in terms of increase of produce over the last 3 years from your agri sector here?
Okay, let me just use rice as an example. We had this rice expansion program that we're doing. In 2012, we were able, under the rice expansion program, we were able to do close to 800 hectares of rice cultivation. In rice, for 2013, we've been able to do more than 1,000 hectares. And the dry season farming, we had to shift it into January, we just started now. An additional 1,000 hectares is being cultivated before we go into the major part of it, later part of this year. And I can tell you that we have moved agriculture from a very low productivity level. Cocoa, for example, we're revamping close to 66,000 hectares of cocoa. We're rehabilitating plantations in Ekiti State.
How far have you gone with that? Because at the end of the day, people want to be able to talk about results, not efforts.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Okay, let me give you an example. 160,000 cocoa seedlings had been distributed, and it was actually nursed in Ekiti State. Before this administration came on board, we go to other states to pick seedlings. Okay. But when this administration came on board, we were able to incentivize you to do seedlings production in the state. And they did, for 2012, they were able to do 160,000 seedlings of cocoa. This year alone, for this year alone, they are doing 1 million seedlings of cocoa to be distributed to our farmers. Improved seedlings to be distributed to our farmers. And what that tells you is that this is a state that don't used to produce cocoa seedlings. From zero, we moved to 160,000. This year, we're moving to 1 million seedlings. We've done close to 300 already in January.
Okay. Thank you. That's good.
Mrs. Dipo Salami.
Yes.
You are the SA on MDG and multilateral relations.
And development relations.
Please give us a progress report. How have you progressed in achieving the MDGs?
Thank you very much.
In 2 sentences, if you can.
2 sentences. Well, I hope I can do that in 2 sentences. What we have been able to do in Ekiti, to achieve in Ekiti State, has been very significant. One, because the 8-point agenda of Dr. Kaide Fayemi, the roadmap to Ekiti recovery, is premised on the MDGs, which means that everything that we do in Ekiti State is geared towards achieving the MDGs. And at the last meeting we had in Kwara State on the MDGs in the Southwest, Ekiti is the only state that is on track on all our goals and has actually achieved 2 of the goals, goal number 2 and number 3, achieving universal basic education as well as women empowerment and gender equality. There is no other state like that in Nigeria that has, that has such amazing achievements. I'm
sorry to interject your 2 sentences.
Yes.
You mentioned that you've achieved with women empowerment.
Yes.
Now, what is it that has been done in the state that qualifies you to say that you're achieving in this area?
For us, in Ekiti State, we have a high percentage of women in government.
Such as where?
Such as in the executive, both in the elective and in the